Hello everyone, and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to do some basic colour correction in Adobe Photoshop Lightroom Classic. Now I've got a selection of 6 images down here which you can see, and I'm going to be applying my preset. Feel free to apply whatever preset you have, and then I will colour correct them. Now all of these images were taken on my camera. I have a Canon 750D. It's a bit old, I think I've had it for about 5 or 6 years now, but it does the job. So first we're going to apply my preset, which is here, and as you can see it is quite blue, but I love the knowledge that I can change it, so let me just do that. Right. The first thing we are going to be looking at, and the only thing we are going to be looking at, is this little section here. We have the white balance eyedropper tool, and then we also have these 2 bars here, the temperature bar and the tint bar. And for colour correction, these are the only tools that we will be using. Personally, when I colour correct an image, I use the temperature and the tint tool, but I know some people do use the white balance selector, and I will show you what that does now. So when you click on it, you can pick a neutral target, and as you can see in the left hand pane up here, when you select it, it shows you what the white balance would be. So if we're going to pick a neutral target, I think either white or black, so let's try and get dark. As you can see, that's quite purple in the left hand pane up there. Let's go white. As you can see, it's quite green, so I don't think that this will really get the most accurate answer that you will be looking for when you try to colour correct, which is why I then come on to this bar here, the temperature bar. When I edit, I like to use the up and down keys on my keyboard, and I think they go up in increments of 50. Yes, there we go. So as you can see, even by going up twice and down twice, you can see the warmth in the image. So I think my images normally come up to about in between 4,000 and 5,000, I think, maybe 450, around the 450 mark. Mine like to, that's perfect for my preset outside. Now this is quite green, so we're going to be using the tint bar here. As you can see, it's -32. So we're just going to be, I think my preset usually is about 28. So let's see if I make that a bit warmer. That looks perfect for me. Now, because this is only colour correction, I do find that exposure does play a large part in it, because obviously you can see the colours are quite blown out, and I do find that especially if you're having a warmer image, the exposure does affect how warm an image is. So if we just pull that back down, I might pull the highlights back down a bit. There, so I would probably have that a little bit warmer now that I've adjusted the exposure. Maybe up one more. There, I would probably have that about there. But this is obviously down to personal preference. You might like your images a lot warmer or a lot cooler or a lot greener or a lot purple. It's completely down to your preference. But for my images, I quite like to have a neutral tone, not too cold and not too warm. So I think this is perfect for this image. Now let's go on to another image. Let's apply my preset again. As you can see, very blue again. And the reason I'm just cancelling down these luminance ones is because that's what I feel like I have to do. I feel like that's a good base, because those are the colours that I often tweak when editing for skin tones and things like that. So I like to give myself a, oh, there we go, a base put for those. So back to temperature, and I'm just going to move the exposure first, because these images are quite bright as they were taken outside in midday and in the summer as well. Now let's try and match our previous image. One way to match an image, technically, is to copy and paste your settings from one image to another. But that sometimes doesn't work, and it doesn't often match the temperature of your previous photo, as the sun can go in and out, clouds can come about, and it can change the whole look and feel and temperature of your image. So I like to just check by eye what the temperature is, because as we can see, this is 4950 and this is 5400. But I would say that this is probably a bit colder, so let's maybe go about here. I would say that that is probably almost a match. So even though technically the colour may match with these numbers here, it's always best to check by eye if they are in fact the right colour, right temperature that you would want. And this is very important, especially when you are editing a collection of photos and they all have to look quite the same. So for instance, if you're doing a product shoot outside, you have to make sure that the temperature is the same throughout the collection of images so it has a consistent look. Now let's go into the third image. It's going to be bright blue again. Yes, there we go. Now, there we are. Right. I'm just going to bring the exposure down just a touch, just so we can see the true temperature of the images. And I think I'm going to go about there. Now let's see. Oh my, I see. I think it's quite difficult to find a neutral spot on an image. So I'm not quite sure, unless you wanted a really accentuated colour palette. I'm not quite, oh my, I'm not quite sure how you would use this, which is why personally I like using this. I find it, you can have a lot more fine tuning of the temperature and the look that you want within your image with this little bar here, with these two bars. Now that feels colour corrected to me. Let's move on to the next image. This is down my local woods, and this is Milo. He's a very lovely boy. Again, this is quite blue, so I'm just going to go up in increments of 50 by pressing the up key on my keyboard. And obviously, as said before, this is completely your choice. You can have a lot warmer images, you can have a lot colder images. It all depends on the look that you want to go for. And I would probably say that that is colour corrected to my eyes, or to my liking at least. Bright blue, there we go. I think when you get to know your preset and how it works, how it interacts with images both inside and outside, you just know what you need to do after then, I think. Like, I know my preset's quite blue, and that I like to pull the luminance down on the red, orange and yellow, just so it gives me a good starting point for tweaking skin tones. And it'll be the same for your presets, I'm sure. When you know how it interacts with the environment and what you need to do with the temperature and the tint, then I think you're set. Now I might have that a little bit colder. There, perfect. Now inside, obviously everything is a lot warmer inside. It can change drastically depending on your camera settings. Sometimes it's incredibly warm, sometimes it's incredibly cold. And for this time, it looks like mine's quite neutral there, just giving us a good base to work with for colour. Now I might decrease the purple, give it a bit more warmth, and I would say that that's probably done. The annoying thing about colour correction is that it is completely subjective as to what you're taking, what the environment is like, whether you're indoors, outdoors, whether it's cloudy, sunny, raining. So once you learn your preset and you know what needs to be done to get it to how you want it, then that's magic. That's what you want. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again very soon.